صباح الخير. نبتدئ الجلسة الآن. اليوم ضيفنا هو آرنو موران وهو الملحق الثقافي الفرنسي في السفارة الفرنسية. Vous êtes le bienvenu.
Thank you very much.
سأقدم نبذة عن آرنو، ماذا فعل وماذا يفعل الآن. آرنو موران هو الملحق الثقافي الفرنسي في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة والمسؤول عن التعاون الثقافي بين البلدين. رافق افتتاح متحف اللوفر أبوظبي، حيث سلط الضوء على الشباب والمهارة المعرفية للبلدين، فكان هناك حفل موسيقي لأوركسترا جوستاف مالر الشبابية مع مؤلفات إماراتية فرنسية، وأنشأ شركة لإدارة المسارح بالتعاون مع الكونسيرفاتوار يعني المعهد الموسيقى الوطني العالي لفن الدراما، وعرض فني راقص الفروسية في قلب واحة العين. أداه 30 خيالاً من أكاديمية فيرساي للفروسية التي أنشأتها بارتباس، وعرض للألعاب النارية. تم تسليط الضوء على الشباب والابتكار والإبداع والتقاليد والمهارة المعرفية من أجل الفهم والاحترام المتبادل بين الإمارات وفرنسا. يشرف على الحوار الثقافي الإماراتي الفرنسي، البرنامج الذي تم توقيعه في نوفمبر 2017 من أجل توسيع التبادل الإماراتي الفرنسي. يحمل موران درجة الماجستير في الإدارة العامة من سيانس بو يعني العلوم السياسية في باريس، ودرس في جامعة بيركلي في كاليفورنيا. حصل على مرتبة الشرف من المعهد الوطني للموسيقى الوطنية كعازف بيانو. يعمل أستاذاً زائراً في العديد من كليات إدارة الأعمال في فرنسا، ويشارك في العديد من مؤسسات الفكر وفي مجالس الإدارة المعنية بالثقافة الرقمية والفنون. يهتم بشدة بأهمية ممارسات استخدام التكنولوجيا الجديدة في مجالات السياسة والفنون والعلوم. فأهلاً وسهلاً بك. سؤالي الأول لآرنو موران هو أن يتحدث قليلاً عما فعله قبل أن يأتي إلى الإمارات. Qu'est-ce que vous avez fait avant de venir aux Émirats? Quelle est votre formation et pourquoi vous vous êtes intéressé à ce domaine?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm really happy to be here with you. Asma, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really honored. Thank you. I will speak in English, if it's okay for everyone. Thanks for your introduction. I think you said a lot already, but I'm going to try to give you a little bit of background. So I arrived in the UAE 2.5 years ago as the cultural attaché of the French embassy. So I work for the French government, for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and for the Ministry of Culture in France. I'm based at the French embassy in the UAE in Abu Dhabi, but we cover all the country, so my mission is at a federal level. Prior to come to the UAE, I was head of development at the Centre Pompidou in Paris, the Museum of Contemporary and Modern Art. So basically I was handling all the strategic partnership of the museum, the fundraising strategy, and all the link between the administration and the private sector. Before this, I was working in a smaller institution based in Paris, entirely dedicated to arts and innovation. So basically how artists are working in this new world with new technology, the web, the internet, the social media, etc. That was the first organization in France that created business incubators entirely dedicated to the creative sector. Not business per se, but all the industries that works in the cultural and artistic sector. Before this, I was working for a bank in Paris, BNP Paribas. I was not exactly doing a banking job. I was working for their cultural foundation. So I was in charge of all the money that they were giving to the artists and to the company and the theater and the opera to better develop the audience and the creation. And before this, but I think you said it all, I came from kind of a traditional background in terms of schooling. I was doing Sciences Po in public administration and politics. And I mixed this with formation at the National Conservatory of Music and Dance, where I studied the piano for 17 years. And I was also a student for ballet dancing. So yeah.
Donc, depuis votre jeune âge, vous vous êtes intéressé en fait à la musique, à l'art et à tout ce qui est culturel. Même quand vous avez travaillé dans une banque, vous étiez responsable de l'aspect culturel, des relations culturelles de la banque.
Absolutely. I have this mix between a traditional, let's say, kind of schooling and between public administration, politics, diplomacy, and business. But at the same time, I was studying at the conservatory as a musician and dancer. I always tried to mix this to have a job in the cultural industry. I never really wanted to be a professional dancer or a professional pianist. However, I wanted to mix this to better understand the creative industries and artistic field and artists themselves, to work for them and creating contents together, but at the same time also understanding the people that finance culture, the politician behind culture, without whom you cannot do anything. So I guess that's how I chose to go into cultural diplomacy.
You said that it's been 2 years and a half you are in UAE.
Yes.
Is it the first time you are working in an Arab country?
It is, and I'm very glad. I was working for the French embassy when I was younger in Washington, D.C. in the USA. For a short period of time, though, and I also did abroad. I did part of my master's degree in San Francisco, UC Berkeley. You mentioned it, but that's the first time in the Gulf region in the UAE, and this is quite exciting for me, since this is the perfect timing for us to work here. I was recruited 1 year prior to the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening. That was a major cultural cooperation project, and so interesting because I had the chance to arrive, which is not the case in every country when you're cultural attaché. I arrived and I was directly in contact with the person that are now my friends, young UAE national and young people working in the cultural sphere in the Gulf region on amazing cultural project for the UAE, for Abu Dhabi, for the UAE at a federal level, for the Gulf region at a federal level, and we were working like this together, co-producing events, thinking about contents, bringing some French artists and making them work with UAE or Gulf artists together. So it's the first time. I was lucky to have this position at my young age because I'm still young for a cultural attaché. But I don't think that age should be a criteria when it comes to a job. I'm 32, and yes, first time, and I really hope it's gonna be a long experience. Usually the diplomats they sign a contract for 3 years, so it has been extended for the 4th year for me, and inshallah, hopefully it will be longer than this.
Yes. We worked together with young Emirati artists when there was the play of a theater and with a very big creator, French creator, Marcel Bozonnet.
Yeah.
And I think that you discovered the young Emirati artists at that time.
Yes.
It was a very interesting experience. What do you think about them? And I want you to speak about Emirati artists, young Emirati artists.
Okay, so that's true. That was my first project, and we've been working together because you were fully involved in this project. So this project was part of a bigger cooperation cultural project that was organized to prepare the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening 1 year prior to the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening. So it was a music program first of all, then the theater program that I'm going to talk a little bit more, a contemporary art program with young Emirati artists and from the Gulf region going to Paris and then creating something that was brought back for the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening for the first contemporary art exhibition at Louvre Abu Dhabi. And there were also the opening show for the Louvre Abu Dhabi opening ceremony. So the theater project was one of a kind because we had, I think it was 10 or 12 UAE-based young actors. So half of them, let's say, were UAE national. The other were, like, they grew up in the UAE and they were not necessarily from the UAE, but they were part of this group that has been educated in the UAE, either from Dubai, Sharjah, or Abu Dhabi. And we created from A to Z a theater play in 3 languages, Arabic, English, and French, that was displayed at Manarat Al Saadiyat in co-production with DCT Abu Dhabi, with a French director coming from the very reputed traditional Comédie Française. And it was actually kind of challenging.
Yes, a big challenge.
A big challenge because that was my first project. The time frame was super short. The young actor were not speaking a word of French, and we chose someone from the Comédie Française that was super good, but that wasn't really fluent at English. So for them to communicate and with a different kind of culture and approach of theater and acting, it was a real challenge because you had this young UAE national that were actors, influencers, TV presenters, not necessarily traditional theater play actors as Marcel would have expected. And Marcel was from a very old and traditional French institution. So at first it was this kind of clash that I was trying to go beyond. And from this original clash, we created something absolutely marvelous and very unexpected and new for the region because it was not a commercial play or something. It was an artistic play, was on the basis of Arabic poem, 3 languages, kind of conceptual. So in the end, we made something out of it, and hopefully it will also trigger a new energy to build a UAE national theater troupe that does not exist for now. This is also the importance of this kind of program, if I can say. I'm really not into organizing one-shot event. We're trying not to do this. This is all the embassies and all the cultural institutions, whether public or private, are doing this already. Like, you do some events, you just spend a lot of money and do some events, and you have production, and it's great, and everyone is talking about it on social media. But what happened next? For us, these programs were to initiate something led by the French government and the UAE government, and then it become a UAE project that they can do something out of it to create a national troupe, even if it's not with the French anymore. I really don't care. We were originally at the basis of the project, but then let's them appropriate the project. We don't have to be involved and with the French flag everywhere. I don't care. We created something together, and now it's in the field, in the UAE, and they can do something out of it, even if they work with other countries for the future edition of their program. I'm happy about it. We need to keep in all cultural diplomacy project an open-minded in our way to work with the locals and with the UAE government or UAE private institution. There are some very wrong way to do cultural diplomacy, like ways that maybe were applying 20 or 10 years ago, but that it's not the case anymore, especially in this part of the world. The French government, and I hope there is no one from the French embassy here, but but I'm videotaped anyway. So we used to have this kind of positioning, in terms of cultural diplomacy, where we say, okay, so we have a century-long history of culture, we have super big artists, we have big names, we have big institutions, we have money, the government is involved since like, I don't know, like 80 years. Okay, but does it mean that we're just here to promote and to bring French talents and big institutions in the field, in the Gulf, that is thriving now as a new cultural thing, in a very French arrogance kind of way? No, we can't do this anymore. And a lot of people are still doing this, thinking that because we have big names and big stuff, we can just bring them and try to promote French image abroad by renting a space and just like doing a show about a French artist in a big UAE event. I think this is so dated. Like, we can't do this anymore, especially here. And we have to understand, especially the French that are quite like proud of their culture and what we have, that our program here and the key of success is not cultural diplomacy as it was 10 years ago, is cultural cooperation as it should be today. So creating new programs that, yes, are promoting French talents, but creating something new with what exists here. Otherwise, it's a total failure. Total. So every program that we've done, especially this one in theater, and even more the one for contemporary arts, the collab one that we will talk maybe more about it, was really into how do we promote our traditional savoir-faire and experience and history, but at the same time, we try to work with this young, new, upcoming generation that has a total different energy and conception of how we work in the cultural field, and we make something new out of it that is both good for us to promote our traditional savoir-faire, for them to promote their new talents, and for us too, because as I said, French has this old savoir-faire, but we also need to renew ourselves, guys. French is now a little bit criticized to be stuck in the past because we have all the museum, Paris is amazingly beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's true. But how are we still relevant in the cultural field in the future? Well, we need you guys here to reinvent this. And by working with a new generation who has a total different approach and trying to work and create this third culture that all this event is about, well, we reinvent also ourselves as French people and create something new, and we take benefit from it and from what we are seeing in France and what we do now. So yeah, sorry, I'm talking.
No, it's good. No, it's good. As an example about what you are speaking about, for example, the equestrian choreography performed by 30 horses from the Versailles Equestrian Academy. It's this kind of project you are speaking. Yeah, it's just an example.
It is. It was a big one.
Yeah,
it was the first time we brought 20 horses from the National Academy of Versailles. That was the first time they were traveling in a plane that was horrible. They were so afraid. Some horses were sick, and in the end it was really good. But it was in Alain in Al Jahili Fort as part of the program, and same thing. It's something that is very French, but at the same time we invented the show together with oud player Faisal Azhari, and we were working with DCT on this one also. In the end, it was a great success, but because we didn't try to bring a show that was originally entirely thought and produced in France for a French audience. We changed it entirely.
Yeah, but you know that the theater show that which was presented in Louvre, Abu Dhabi, it was a very good promotion for the artists who participated in this theater show. You know that
the
after
contemporary art show at Louvre, not the theater.
With Marcel
this one, yeah.
Bozonnet, it opened. The doors were open for them because I followed what they did after. Every one of them, he found something to do later, and it was a very, very benefit for them.
It's true. I'm now friends with a lot of them, and for
Yeah.
example, I'm still very much in contact with Dana, who is now in
Yeah.
Bahrain, leading a TV show, and she has
Yeah.
become a star.
Yeah.
So we're really proud because it kicked off a good energy working
Yeah.
together
I
on
think
this program, and now they're all
yeah.
doing amazing things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really good. I don't want to say that it's thanks to our program because I think they're amazing young
Yeah.
people and they were doing hundreds of things at the same time, so it participated to their success. But
I think
you know.
it gave them confidence, and since they were trained by a very big French artist, it gave them confidence, and they continued better than they were. So.
And the other very big program that we did as part of this cultural diplomacy thing was Collab. I don't know if you've seen it. It was displayed at the opening of Louvre Abu Dhabi in the Lower Plaza. It was the first contemporary art show of the Louvre Abu Dhabi. It's now closed, but it was 9 months long, which is pretty long for Louvre Abu Dhabi. So basically, we've worked with 5 talents from the UAE, based in the UAE, 2 Emirati, Zainab Al-Hashimi, and so Zainab Al-Hashimi, we had Vikram Divecha from India, but based in Dubai. We had Khalid Shafar from the UAE. Khalid Shafar, the designer, and someone else from Syria. This program, so basically, was 1.5 years long. So that's what I'm saying. When we want to do cultural diplomacy, you cannot do a single shot. It's a long-term program. So basically, they were sent in Paris and other cities of France in residency on traditional historical French manufacturers that, I don't know, like work with porcelain or ceramics or glass blowing or all kind of relevant traditional techniques. But they were really contemporary artists. So the thing was how do you make them work with artisans that never travel, that are always in this manufacturer, that are like 60, 70, 80 years old, and you have this young Emirati coming, and how do you make them work together on a huge scale contemporary art piece using the traditional French techniques to produce a contemporary art piece that has never been done before. So they were traveling back and forth from Paris to the UAE. Once again, it was a program co-produced by DCT Abu Dhabi. And then we showed this 5 major pieces at the heart of the Louvre Abu Dhabi for the opening. Can you imagine? They're really young artists, and some of them are more established than others. For example, Khalid Shafar is a really well-established designer. But still, the Museum Abu Dhabi is an international scale, super big cultural initiative. And for the opening, they had the chance to have an 8-month-long exhibition within the wall of the Louvre Abu Dhabi. It's an amazing international exposure. And it was thanks to this program. And once again, we were not pretentious to say it's just like a French program using the name of the French manufacturers. No, that was in the background, but that was something very different. The outcome was the pieces of these 5 artists, not the French manufacturers that have been working on it.
Okay, another question. I know that in your this kind of job, often you are under pressure, and sometimes something happens that put you under really pressure. And est-ce que vous pouvez nous raconter une anecdote à ce propos? Can you tell us something about that?
Sure. I will. Even though I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I will. Maybe before talking about pressure and understanding, we could talk about what is at stake really here in terms of cultural diplomacy. And I want to bring us to just the basis of the concept of cultural diplomacy. Yes, we are doing some amazing cultural project, events, shows, exhibition, program, whatever. But what is the basis of this? Why are we still doing it, and why have we started to do cultural diplomacy with countries that we were not really, we didn't really know super well before? The basis of it, even though it's very simple what I'm going to say, it's to better understand each other. When we are from very different part of the world, different backgrounds, different story, different culture, different religions. It's to better understand each other, to avoid any kind of stupid conflict because we don't understand our common history and the history of the other. So I want to insist on this, even though it's very important. I'm not just working for the French government to promote French culture. I'm also working to better understand other nations and to make sure that we create friendship kind of bounds and to avoid any possible conflict and to trigger respect between different countries and different nations. That's why events I don't care, but I only focus about long-term projects. That's why I believe in the importance of constantly networking and fostering understanding also through the common learning of language. We're promoting French language there. We're also trying to promote Arabic language teaching in France and Paris. That's also part of our mission at the French Embassy. And to reinvent our old country using the dynamism and the new generation energy of the UAE and creating partnership. So now, moving on to the pressure you're talking about.
Something, sorry, I mean, sometimes there's something comic happens. If you have any, or if not, we will open the discussion for the public. If you don't have,
okay, let me think about it. As we're in a modern, French is a democracy. I wouldn't say I felt any kind of pressure from the French government to especially do something or that was not respectful of the local context or something like this. However, what I can tell is, so I have a central administration. Yes, I work for the government. The government is in Paris, and I'm here in Abu Dhabi in a local context that I understand. I've made friends with local people, with artists, and we're now like this, and I understand the context, and we work together, etc. From time to time, you have a little bit of administration and political pressure that comes from the central administration because they don't necessarily understand the full local context. And that's also our job as cultural attachés or education attachés or French language attachés or whatever, to make sure that your central government understand what is at stake, where you're working, and to respect what is going on. I had I received a lot of emails and calls from very high people from the governments or cultural institutions saying, okay, so everything is happening right now in the UAE, they have money, so we want to bring this, we want to have an annex of this museum, we're going to bring this festival here because it's a really good festival and they can pay for it, and we're going to do this, and blah, blah. I'm like, no, we're not going to do this. First of all, you're going to travel here, you're going to meet these people, you're going to have a real conversation, and you will better understand what they're expecting to do, because do a copy-paste of what we're doing in France here is never going to work, and it's not respectful. So this is this kind of pressure that I kind of have from the French side, but they usually, my job is also to tell them what's happening here, and then they better understand, and then we do something that is perfectly accurate for the region. On the other part, which is kind of trickier for me to talk about, on the UAE side, I've never had. I felt coming here and didn't really know about the region that I might have a pressure in terms of the contents that I can show here. What about censorship? What can I do and what can't I do? Well, to be honest, I was very surprised with the openness of a lot of people I've been working with. Yes, there are different levels according to the level of officiality and government that you're working with. I'm not going to mention them here. It's not even useful. But I will mention a positive experience that I had very recently. We were partners of, for example, the Sharjah Art Foundation and the last Sharjah Biennale, working very closely with Sheikh Ahura Qasimi. And we produced a very big-scale contemporary art installation with French-Algerian artist Mohamed Bourouissa. And it was quite tough. Like, it was a political installation, recreating the architecture of an ancient psychiatric hospital for kids that were built in Algeria after the war, talking about slavery, talking about the pressure of politics and this kind of stuff. And we had the full support of His Highness Shah Dr. Sultan Al-Qasimi and Sheikh Al-Qasimi to do this. And we even won a prize for this installation. So as long as you are respectful and you understand the other parts, I think you can go even beyond what you think originally you can't or can do here. And there is one thing also, please shut down the camera. No, I'm just saying that here in the UAE, when you come from the outside, you feel that you need to respect everything, and you're kind of auto-censored yourself, like censorship. You give it, you have it internally, but from time to time, you can still do things that are respectful of the local context and the traditions, and let's not forget about it. Otherwise, you just do some uninteresting stuff. And a lot of people that comes from abroad are just saying, no, we're not going to do this. I'm like, well, this obviously is not possible, but this is interesting. And before saying you cannot do this, maybe you should talk with your partners, with local partners about this, just asking them what they think about it. Can we make something out of it, something new? Can we twist a little bit so that it's still possible? This is important to have this in mind here.
Yeah, so now you are expert. I think you know how the culture here is going on, and yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any question? Someone have a question? Yeah.
Hello, I am Aida from الملتقى.
Hello.
I really think that your job is now very important, because at my age, everything from France was so fascinating and we want to absorb it, but now the situation is different and you are looking at it from the right point of view, in my opinion. You are in the right position, in the right place. You said that you are interested in music and in the ballet. Do you have any program that you will do that might be taking local music with the ballet, with something cultural regarding music and ballet with the French?
Yes, so we had one 3 years ago where we had a French orchestra playing an Emirati composer pieces for a full symphonic orchestra. We're working a lot with the Americans, actually, NYU Art Center, to co-produce some show. So from time to time with Emirati artists and French artists. The next one is a dance show. It's in 2 days, April 29th, at the NYU Art Center Red Theater. We are bringing dancers from Casablanca, Morocco, and 2 choreographers, Mouhan Merzouki and Kader Hatou, working on a show in co-production with NYU Art Center. So please, there are still tickets if you want to come. It's a really, really good show. And we are also working a lot with Abu Dhabi Classics, which is a department of DCT Abu Dhabi, in bringing some French musicians, but also trying to have them staying long in Abu Dhabi so they could work with musicians from Beit Al Oud, for example, on new creations. So basically they would play their traditional program, but they would also work on something new with local musicians or international musicians. And we are co-producing this show when we work with Abu Dhabi Classics. We have some things coming up for the end of the year, but I cannot disclose the name right now, but you will know soon enough. And in terms of dance, yeah, we have this, and we recently have, but it's very, for this one is very traditional. We recently have the full ballet of the National Opera of Paris performing in Abu Dhabi. It was 1 month ago, and it was a partnership with ADMAF, and it was two representation of the Georges Balanchine Ballet Jewels at the Emirates Palace.
فاطمة البودي من مصر. بالنسبة لأنه دي أول بلد عربي ممكن تترجمي له.
Maybe you can translate. She will translate.
أوكي. دي أول بلد عربي يخدم فيها.
Yeah, that's the first one, and I'm very glad that I was chosen for this position. I really intend to stay as long as possible, and maybe to make a next move that is still in between France and the region.
بعد ما عمل متحف اللوفر وهو يعني تحدي كبير وعمل رائع جدا تم هنا في أبوظبي، بظنه يعني ممكن يعمل حاجة تانية في أي بلد أخرى بهذا الحجم يعني؟
Oh, absolutely. So the Louvre was, yes, it's a one-of-a-kind project. Let's not forget that the Louvre is a UAE national museum, not a French museum in the UAE. That's very important. And we also have to have this, like, once again, forget about French arrogance. So yeah, there will be other XXL cultural projects in the region like this, not necessarily in the UAE. I mean, the UAE, and especially Abu Dhabi, they have the Sheikh Zayed National Museum coming up, they have the Guggenheim coming up, there's the Museum of the Future in Dubai coming up. But in the region, you also have, so I'm going to take the example of Saudi. You will have, and it's, again, we signed a cooperation agreement between the French Republic and KSA. In Al Ula region for the let's say the region and the archaeological site of Madain Saleh. In a few years, you will see the opening of very big museums to better understand this region, to better understand the Nabatean heritage of Saudi Arabia. This will definitely be the next super big cultural project in the region for the next 5 to 20 years, because the idea is not just to open a museum, but it's to better develop and to open a new region to tourism and to show the pre-Islamic heritage of the country, which is kind of amazing. I mean, a few years ago, it was still impossible.
There is a question here. Here, please.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dr. Khulud Al-Mansouri from Iraq. Actually, I was lucky to attend this session by accident, and I really enjoyed whatever you've shown us. As I'm keen on bridging cultures, and I'm working with multicultural students at my university, and I'm keen on providing them with the opportunities to deal with different nations and cultures, how can you support me in having something for my students coming from different cultures, and they are doing different majors, and I would love to have something that the embassy could help us with.
Okay, cool. What university is it?
It's AURAC, American University at Ras Al Khaimah.
Okay, at Ras Al Khaimah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So we have at the French Embassy, we created a department that is entirely responsible for higher education cooperation. So that's true that the past 2 years was really focused on culture because it's Louvre Abu Dhabi and Emirati French Cultural Program. But we're really trying to boost higher education cooperation between France, French University, and UAE University.
Yeah.
So I will definitely put you in contact with.
Sure.
We will have someone new coming in our team in September that will be fully in charge of this. We have someone right now at the embassy, but he's going to leave pretty soon. Let's connect after the talk, and I'll make sure that we can do something together.
Thank you very much. I
Of
really
course,
appreciate
my
it.
pleasure.
I enjoyed your talk. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I have understood from your explanation. You worked hard in the exchange of knowledge. I want to ask now, have you planned to make exchange of knowledge in the historical places between Emirat and France, because United Arab Emirates has a great history? Thank you.
So the question is, are we working on a project that also echo the long history of the Emirates?
The question is, I want you, or I like, if you have a plan to work in the field of exchange of knowledge about historical places in Emirat and France.
Okay.
Because United Arab Emirates has a great history.
Absolutely. So we are working together on this, and it's especially on archaeology. One of the first project that we did with the UAE authority was a full program and exhibition with the Museum of Sharjah on the UAE/French cooperation in archaeology and history. That is actually less known internationally. You're true to say that there is a century-long and millennia-long history here in the region and in the UAE that people doesn't know about abroad. What they see is, oh, this is a new country, everything has been happening for the past 50 years and nothing was happening before, which is so false. And we're trying, in all of our projects, we're trying also to echo this century-long history of the UAE in the region, especially in the field of archaeology. So inshallah, we'll have new projects regarding archaeology. For now, we are more focusing on working together with the UAE government on at a regional level and international level on protecting endangered cultural heritage in conflict area. That's what we do right now. But we are obviously aware of this, and we're trying to promote at the same time the extreme dynamism of the young and contemporary art scene in the UAE and its tradition and history.
Hi. First, I wanted to commend you for your approach to, bringing those cultures together. And like you said, bringing the French culture over, but also somehow respecting the existing culture, trying to accentuate that as well without just having a plug-and-play kind of French franchise. But you seem to, in terms on the cultural side, you've been focused a lot on performing arts from what I see, and of course on the traditional arts through the Louvre, etc. Is there any space you feel hasn't been touched upon yet that you say, I would love to do more of this, and we haven't done that, or no, I'd love to spark that interest, and what would that be?
Okay, that's a good question. I wish we can do everything, but obviously we have to focus on some priorities because my team is very small. We're 4 people, 5 including me, and all the other person works on other stuff, university, French language, medicine, science, whatever. So we've been covering a lot of disciplines and stuff. Very recently, we tried to focus on something very new, which is the links between creation and new technology. I mean, no, innovation, not necessarily new technology, but all kind of innovation process related to creation. That's a really wonderful program, and we have the full support of the Ministry of Culture on this. Her Excellency Noura Akabi is really keen on working on things that both traditions, past, and new technology innovation. So that's our focus for the next 1 or 2 years. There is one field that I feel has been a little bit not underestimated, but we haven't done a lot, and our wonderful opportunity is it's the publishing industry. I'm kind of ashamed to say this at the Abu Dhabi International Book Fair, but still that's true. We have amazing opportunities there. Translation, cooperation, bringing a lot of French publishers, trying to convince them to translate the best French book and authors into Arabic, trying to translate Arabic book, for example, the Sheikh Book Awards book or something, into French, and having a real cooperation in the publishing industry that is also a wider cooperation on Arabic/French language. We have a lot of effort to do in this field, and it takes a long time, but the thing is, as a French embassy, we can ignite this, but we cannot do everything. We need to have the publishers on board, because there are also businesses involved.
Hi, Mr. Arno. Thank you to come الملتقى and really appreciate to be part of the third culture discussion in whole week.
Thank you.
And that's why I thought you are the most important to be with us because I attend to what you are doing. It's how the connect between France and Abu Dhabi, and you try to mix all the cultures, and really. Maybe we will take your idea to adopt it to our الملتقى also. It's really you do a great job, and always what you're doing to promote the both. It's the first one I saw somebody from your embassy. He tried hard to express these things in our country. It's really I appreciate what you are doing. But I will ask you a question. Did you do the same what you're doing here between Abu Dhabi and France? Opposite? You take somebody from UAE in France and to do same program to show them also how the UAE, the culture between the two cultures. I would like to know that.
So first of all, thank you very much, Asma. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. And it's also a pleasure that you recognize what I'm trying to do here in changing a little bit the scope and the approach of what we do as the French government. If I reverse the reflection and I think about promoting UAE culture in France, yes, when we signed the Emirati French Cultural Dialogue, the idea is our counterparts in the UAE is the Ministry of Culture and Knowledge Development. So basically that's more their job than it is mine. But we're still trying to do things in France and in Paris. There has been some initiative led by the Ministry of Culture. There's been an Emirati Cultural Week last year. We also organized with Dubai Culture an exhibition entirely dedicated to Abdul Khader Al-Hais at the Arab World Institute. And we are thinking about developing the Al Burda festival in Paris that is very accurate because it's also promote Arabic language. So yeah, I don't have the time, and it's not my core mission to do this in France. It's more the mission of the UAE government, but we are totally working together on this to try to also have relevant things in France. And what is at stake here is also for the French people to better understand what's really happening here in the region, because nobody really knows, and the clichés are still very pregnant, even in the kind of elite cultural society, which is kind of sad. they still have a misconception of what's happening here until they decide to travel here and actually meet with the society. So there is a huge work to be done in France in cooperation with the UAE and the Gulf regions to better promote the image and to understand what's happening here. And I think it's something even more difficult in a way to do than my job here, like trying to promote the French image in the UAE. On the other way around, there are much more work to do, but also because we are a little bit narrow-minded people. Like we always say that we're very open-minded. Yes, maybe, but we are also very European-centric. So there is some work to be done, some serious work to be done, and the ministry, the new Ministry of Culture and Her Excellency Noura Akabi team that are amazing people are doing it well. It will take several years, but it has started, and I'm very happy about it.
And especially the Excellency, he speaks Arabic. He appreciates all the Arabic
He does,
cultures and literature.
And I don't. I'm very ashamed.
And inshallah, you will speak soon.
Please, I will try. I recently started lessons, but by recently I mean 1 week ago.
When you mentioned before about the Nabati poems, that's why we take you to the Bedouin, and you sit with them and to teach you how the Nabati.
I would love to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.